At GCSE, we're adding Winsome Pinnock's Leave-Taking as a modern text. This play will replace Charlotte Keeley's My Mother Said I Never Should as a modern drama option. The play follows Enid, an immigrant from Jamaica, now living in North London, and the relationship that she has with her two daughters, Dell and Viv. Worried about her daughters, Enid takes them to see May, an au pair woman. The play explores the themes of mother-daughter relationships, identity, belonging, and the realities of life for immigrants in modern Britain. We think this is a fantastic play for GCSE students. It's accessible, it's engaging, and it also has the ability to stretch and challenge. The play follows a linear structure and takes place in two living room settings, the first being May's flat, the second being Enid's flat. The play was first performed at the Liverpool Playhouse in 1987. Subsequently, it's been performed at the National Theatre in 1994, making Winsome Pinnock the first black female playwright to be performed at the National Theatre. And the most recent production was at the Bush Theatre in 2018. We really hope that you and your students enjoy exploring this play. We think it's fantastic and we hope you do too.
For American literature 1880 to 1940, we are adding Passing by Nella Larsen. This is a novel that centres around the friendship between two light-skinned black women, Irene Redfield, a narrator essentially, and Claire Kendry. Claire has been living as a white woman for most of her adult life, and the novel explores her return to the black community via her friendship with Irene and the ways in which this creates strife and jealousy and tension between the two women. This is a novel that is really interested in ideas about identity as well as ideas about race and class, but it's also a novel that we think is going to be a really excellent comparison to both The Great Gatsby and The Grapes of Wrath, which are the two set core texts for this topic. Those are novels that are really interested in ideas about class, about personal reinvention, about loneliness, and about belonging. And these are themes that Larsen plumbs with admirable depth in this novella. We really hope that if you choose this text, your students enjoy getting to know Irene and Claire. For the Gothic, we are adding Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is a novel which is told by an unnamed narrator. This narrator meets the mysterious Maxime de Winter at the south of France, and after a whirlwind romance, he takes her back to his family home. There, she is reminded at every turn, both by the house but also by the housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, of everything that she is not, namely, nothing like the previous Mrs. de Winter, Rebecca. This is a novel that's about hauntings, that's about history, it's also about desire and about violence. We feel like this will be a really great comparison with either of the two set core texts for this particular topic, The Bloody Chamber and Dracula. Those are novels that are interested in ideas about manipulation, about jealousy, about violence, history, gender, and these are all topics that du Maurier really engages with in a fascinating early 20th century setting. We really hope that your students enjoy this enduring classic, which has never been out of print since its first publication in 1938. So for dystopia, we are adding Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This is a dystopian novel that is alarmingly prescient. It's set in the 2020s at a period of political, economic and ecological collapse. The story centres around a young black woman, Lauren Olamina, who is gifted with hyperempathy, which is, I think, both a blessing and a curse. It's a novel that's really interested not just in survival and struggle, but very much in hope and faith, as Lauren seeks to set up a community around the faith that she's beginning to develop, which she names Earthseed, which is all about seeking life beyond the stars. We think it's a really great comparison with both of the core texts in the dystopian topic, The Handmaid's Tale and 1984. It's very much a story that's about witnessing. It's also about religion, survival, control, but it also offers us a different perspective on the dystopian genre that we think is really, really useful for students to encounter and broadens their understanding of what the topic is all about. So for women in literature, we are adding Bernardine Evaristo's Girl, Woman, Other. This is a fantastic novel. It won the Booker a couple of years ago, and it's a text that has really resonated with students and with teachers. It is a novel that follows 12 characters across the course actually of most of the 20th century into the 21st. And we feel like it's a novel that really engages with ideas about womanhood as well as gender more generally. We think it's interested in motherhood, in community, in class and identity. And it's something that we think is going to really help solidify some of the ideas that are held within the women in literature topic. It compares actually really well with both of the two core texts that are currently in the topic, Sense and Sensibility and Mrs. Dalloway, although you might not always think that's the case. But these are texts that are really engaged with the ideas of limitation, the way that limitations are put upon women particularly. But they're also texts that are interested in familial relationships, in social class, and the ways in which women navigate these relationships too. We really hope that you have an opportunity to take this text and that students really enjoy getting to grips with its fascinating cast of characters. For the immigrant experience, we're adding The Lonely Londoners by Sam Selvon. This is a classic novel that details the Windrush era, but it doesn't just focus on the Caribbean immigration, but is really about delving into immigrant communities across London after World War II. It's a novel that is really rich in voices and is written in an engaging and quite modernist style. And it's one that is really interested in ideas about found family, about community, as well as sexuality and class. Obviously, it also engages with ideas about race and racism, as well as discrimination more broadly against immigrant communities at the time. We think this will compare really well with either of the two set core texts for this topic, The Reluctant Fundamentalist and Call It Sleep. These are novels that are interested in ideas of belonging, about class, about urban spaces and urban lives, and it's also about dislocation and the ways that people seek community. It's a really, really absorbing novel, and we really hope that your students enjoy the particular voice and style that Selvon brings to this topic.